You don't seemingly like your own character, so she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, I don't need your business. Thanks.
There's something wrong with her. She's disturbed, she's unhappy, and she thinks it's about feminism and the patriarchy and about abortion. But the reality is she's just not stable, like the majority of people in Hollywood. They're just not stable human beings.
Rachel Zegler is not happy right now, and South Park just made things way worse. In their latest episode, they completely roasted Disney's new Snow White remake, and they didn't hold back. From calling out the woke changes to hinting that movies like this might get pulled from theaters, it's chaos. And Rachel, she's going off again. If you thought her last meltdown was wild, wait till you see this. Let's break down everything South Park exposed and why people are saying Disney finally got what it deserved.
They did not hold back.
Now, tell me exactly what it is you're afraid of.
I keep having the same dream. Everywhere I look, people are being replaced.
Okay, and who do you think is going to have you replaced?
Them. The puppet masters. The last time I had the dream, I was walking down the school hallway. And then I see Butters, and he's like, "Hey, Eric, you want to see what my mom packed me for lunch?" And that's when I start to notice that something's wrong. Everyone I cared about has been systematically replaced. And finally, I want to scream, and I'm like, why are they replacing every single character with someone who is diverse?
As of April 1st, the flames haven't died down just yet. This train wreck is still burning. Disney's latest numbers are in, and yep, it's official. The situation's going from bad to worse. Rachel Zegler's sky-high ego and relentless woke warrior vibes didn't just miss the mark, they straight up cursed Snow White with box office doom. Instead of reviving a classic, she handed Disney a poison apple. Her star power didn't wake the sleeping giant it barely stirred. Still, Rachel and her loyal crew, Ilda, Jorge, Remy, and Maria, show up like it's opening night at the Oscars. Popcorn in hand, big smiles, ready to bask in the glow of Rachel's moment. Ilda's hyping her up on Instagram like it's the finals of a high school talent show, but the theater's a ghost town. So they pivot cue the TikTok skit. 2 tickets, please, Rachel says in the video. The guy behind the Regal counter pauses, confused, and says, "For which movie?"
2 tickets, please.
Oh, for which movie?
In the video, she's standing there, proudly holding her Snow White merch like it's some kind of VIP pass, giving the ticket guy a look like he's the one out of the loop. I mean, seriously, Rachel Zegler is in the building. Who else would they be here to see? Of course, it's Snow White, duh. The guy clearly didn't get the memo that she's the star of the show. Then, we cut to their popcorn buckets and matching cups, all decked out in Snow White branding. Her crew's giggling, striking goofy poses for the camera like it's a red carpet moment. You can tell Rachel thought this was gonna blow up online. One of those look at me now viral wins. Instead of a mic drop moment, it just feels awkward, like painfully awkward. Her "everyone knows who I am" attitude totally backfired. What was meant to scream main character energy turned into a cringe fest. More "please laugh with me" than "look how iconic I am." And now, the movie clip is getting clowned all over X. People are calling it the perfect example of someone who really thought she'd outshine the original and missed by a mile. And get this, Rachel's in that nearly empty theater, clutching a bouquet like she just won an Oscar. But let's be real, that was probably a pity gift, because the box office sure wasn't handing out any love. Remember when she once boldly declared, "People will wait in line to see my films despite my flaws"? Well, turns out the only line forming is the one dragging her movie on social media.
That despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
Now, the only line forming? Yeah, it's online. And it's full of people lining up to roast her, and roast they did. Even Sean Ono Lennon, yep, John Lennon's son, jumped in on March 31st, calling her a disconnected brat, according to Yahoo. He basically said no one should be shocked the film flopped. And sure, her career has racked up a massive $700 million, thanks in big part to the Hunger Games. But even with this being her second highest grossing film, it doesn't feel like a win. It's more like a shiny reminder that her ego might be growing faster than her actual star power. The internet isn't letting Rachel Zegler off the hook anytime soon. People online are saying things like, "Welcome back to reality, princess," while joking about all the empty seats at her movie, and even making GoFundMe jokes like someone needs to rescue her career. And then came Danica Patrick, yes, the former race car driver who's now big into politics and a known Trump supporter. On March 30th, according to Us Weekly, she reposted a video mocking Rachel and her movie's failure on her Instagram story. Her caption, just 2 words, "bye-bye." Sounds simple, but it was loaded with shade. The video she shared accused Rachel of being all about corporate feminism, basically saying she's trying too hard to be woke and make everything political, especially on social media. It even threw in rumors that Disney dropped her from big upcoming films like Toy Story 5 and the Pirates of the Caribbean reboot because of all the backlash. Now, whether that's true or not, people ran with it and Danica clearly enjoyed the drama. Her post felt like a personal jab, especially since Rachel's known for speaking out against Trump. But that's not all. Media host Megyn Kelly also chimed in. On her show, she roasted Rachel too, saying her attitude and political takes are turning people off. Kelly pointed out how Rachel's constant woke messaging and preachy tone might be the real reason audiences are staying away. She basically said Rachel's ego is bigger than her fan base.
Then they had to hire a special media consultant for her to follow her around all the time and make sure she didn't continue shitting on Snow White and the Prince and young love and women who want to get married.
TikTok shade, celebrity clapbacks, and news anchors dragging her on air. Rachel's been hit from all sides, and with her movie flopping hard, it's not just a bad week, it's a full-on reputation crisis. The numbers are pretty brutal and they don't lie. Thursday previews, just $3.5 million. The opening weekend, a disappointing $43 million for a film with a budget over $250 million. To put that into perspective, Dumbo made more with a smaller budget, and The Little Mermaid remake pulled in $95 million on its opening weekend alone. And that's not all. Marketing costs for this movie were between $150 and $200 million, with an extra $50 million spent on reshoots. When you add everything up, Disney needed this movie to hit $450 to $500 million just to break even. $1 billion was the magic number to make a profit. But after its opening with only $87 million globally, things are looking grim. By April 1st, the total worldwide was sitting at $142 million, according to Collider. But the real shocker, the second weekend saw a 66% drop, bringing in just $14 million. Now, Disney's estimating a $115 million loss, but whispers on social media say it could be closer to a $300 million loss when all is said and done.
Okay, so Disney's live-action Snow White opened in theaters last week, and it made $42 million domestic opening weekend. But then this past weekend, it only made $14.2 million domestic, meaning it fell off by a whopping 66%. And this is really bad news for Disney because Snow White's budget was absurdly high.
This is more than just a flop. It's a total disaster for the company. Investors are probably scrambling to figure out what went wrong, while Disney execs are likely hoping for some miracle. Rachel once said, "I hope people wait in line to see me," which is, well, bold, especially when her movie premiere had more tumbleweeds rolling through it than actual tickets sold.
And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
Rachel really dared this movie to flop with all her woke antics. She went after Snow White, calling Prince Charming a stalker, and the 1937 version a weird take. Newsflash, people like fairy tales for the magic, the romance, and the timeless feel. Not every story needs to be a women who don't need a man narrative where stomping on men is the main point. Snow White and her prince saving each other, that's a win for both a story with heart. But Rachel and Disney got too caught up in flexing feminist credentials. She even bragged about ditching the classic love story to push for empowerment, like, congrats, you turned a timeless tale into a soapbox. Audiences don't want lectures, they want to be entertained. Disney's obsession with being a girl boss instead of focusing on fun, well, that's what sank this ship. Post-election, it's May, and Trump supporters still can't catch a break. Alienating half your audience? Real genius move, Rachel. Disney had to bring in a social media executive after her controversial post went viral, with Variety reporting it boosted the trailer views by 4 times. That's one way to get attention, just maybe not the kind you were hoping for.
There was an in-depth piece, like a behind-the-scenes piece, was it Variety, talking about how they've been in a full meltdown about this girl for a couple of years now.
Pedro Pascal called Rachel an icon on March 31st, according to Tribune, but fans weren't having it. They slammed him for jumping on the bandwagon way too late. By then, her political rants had already lit the fuse. The drama with Gal Gadot added fuel to the fire, too. What started as frosty smiles during filming quickly turned into tension, especially after Rachel threw a pageant queen jab at Gadot at the 2025 Oscars. The issue? Gal's Israeli roots clashed with Rachel's outspoken Palestine posts. It was reckless, and things got so heated that Disney had to provide extra security for Gadot after receiving threats. Now, fans on X are even blaming Gadot's acting for the movie's downfall, calling her the true poison apple of the film. But let's be real, Rachel's ego started this whole mess. Rumors are swirling that there were problems on set, with Gal reportedly messing up her lines, which frustrated Rachel during filming. While that might be an issue, it's probably the least of the movie's problems, but it definitely doesn't help when the acting is this flat. Rachel's woke disaster has Disney execs feeling the heat. If a $270 million movie can bomb this badly because it's too preachy, maybe people just want a good escape instead of a lecture. There are whispers that Disney is planning to dial back on the heavy virtue signaling for future remakes like Lilo and Stitch. According to Daily Mail, Hollywood's in full panic mode, even moving away from trans actors and overly political storylines after Snow White's flop, which sparked a major shift against the woke culture. But here's the twist, Rachel didn't just ruin this movie, she might have accidentally helped Hollywood realize it's time for a change. Her ego led her to believe she could preach her way to stardom, but that backfired big time. Instead of a fairy tale, Snow White turned into a woke tale. Audiences don't want to be preached at, they want to enjoy a good story. In this one, it crashed and burned. So, the real question is, did Rachel destroy this film, or was it already set to fail?